Yeah, everyone, what up, what up? It is 6:30. It is September 19th. It is Tuesday. Hope everyone's feeling well. My name is Scott Ruther. I am the Chief Strategic Officer at tfreelive.com. This is the 6:30 Club, where we're still trying to figure some things out of how we can interact. Twitter's doing a little bit weird stuff out there as far as turning off comments and this and that. But anyway, here to talk about a little bit of what's happening, where we're at in the market. You know, we got Instacart coming out today. Will it be tradable the way ARM was tradable on day one, but then you had to run like a thief? Or is there too many investment bankies underwater, considering I think it's a $10 billion valuation, and some of those guys, had rounds of 30 or 40. We'll see. Maybe there'll be some ways to make money there. As far as the overall markets, I feel like today could be like an inside type day, considering that tomorrow is the Fed. And although, probably the Fed is done and most central banks are done around the world, the question is, what's the message going to be? Which everyone's talking about higher for longer, which makes sense because there still is inflation out there. Oil is still like $95 a barrel. I just passed Wawa, and literally, I think gas is back to $3.90 a gallon here in the East Coast, and my friends on the West Coast are telling me it's still like $6.50, which is nutty. So things are still high. And then housing prices is still high because we haven't had any of those major resets in rates, which is starting to lurk, in the next year or two. But anyway, let's talk about today. If you look here, you have the chart of the SPYs and a little erratic trading, right? Last week on Thursday, it looked like we had this tight little wedge formation and we were going to break out to the upside. And then Friday, they trapped everybody. And then yesterday, yesterday was a decent trade. I think, people didn't really take advantage of it because, everyone's like, oh, where's 2 weeks of September are now here. And after the size of the reversal we had, you figured there'd be more downside. So instead, though, there were a few different, what I call red to green trades. So if you got out of the way on Friday, you were able to buy a few things, make a little cash flow, and be like, okay, that's fine for a Monday. So today, futures are up 7-8 handles. If you look here, the SPYs are 444.41. Yesterday's high is right here at 444.97. And then pretty much is probably a brick wall of resistance right here if it pushed through. Maybe it'll try and push through today. I'm not sure, but we'll see. At this point, though, kind of no man's land. You don't want to just fade and open, or you could fade versus this. But I don't think you should be in a rush to buy either. But either which way, that's the spot. Tomorrow is the day where maybe some ranges will expand and there'll be more volatility, but we'll see. Q's very similar. You look at the Q's here. The Q's did a little red dog reversal where you could have been a buyer in the hole. I actually came in short the Q's. I covered pre-market, which was good. They were down $1.50-ish. Went from red to green, and this is yesterday's high. So if you want to put in different levels of resistance here, like you have yesterday's high is one spot, which is right here, 371.79, and then the spot that if the bears want to keep control with this candle, shouldn't really get it above there. I wouldn't think that we get above there today anyway, but we'll see. Here's the Qs. The Qs are at 371.20. So just like so far, an inside candle. Again, I look across the landscape. I write a note every day that literally has 40 different actionable ideas, 6-7 sectors, and all the different high beta tech names. And there's really not a lot of names that are acting so special. They're just trades. They're just in rebuild mode. A lot of them are bent. Some of them are broken. Some are voids. Some is this worth it? So this is the type of trading environment right now where you're like, okay, a little less is more. Conserve the brain power, so when things do get a little bit better, more continuity for whatever it is your style is, you can make the right choices and really put together a few good weeks of trading to hopefully make you some nice money in the fourth quarter or this week. So with that said, a lot of the bears are pointing to the IWM, which makes sense, right? IWM did not, yesterday did not rally at all, below all the moving averages. This little head and shoulders top pattern is getting much more loud and clear. The question is, will this break this 81.60 to 82 and fill this quadrant? If that were the case, probably going to see more downside everywhere. Again, worst 2 weeks of September coming in, so something's got to give, and usually things give around the binary event. So you have a binary event, with the Fed. Plus, there's a bunch of other things going on. I read a bunch of different macro notes, and obviously the government shutdown talk is going to get louder on TV. The strike for GM and Ford is supposed to get a little bit more expanded, and then you also have the writers' strike in in California, and then you have our two potential candidates to run the United States are both 75 years old and hard to deal with or bear. What the hell's the matter with our system? So I think a lot of people are like, what kind of world are we living in? So take a breath. Don't get in the sensationalized news, but the news flow is definitely a little agitated. That's why I keep I keep the TV off. I read the macro notes. I look at the charts, and so this way it doesn't doesn't switch up my sentiment. But anyway, then you have the XLE, which is energy, which with oil at 95, with a nice little trend, but it's also up in the upper end of the channel, where oil stocks just aren't the most fun to trade. They look bad and they go up. They look good. They go down. We like when high beta tech is moving. We like when the semis are awesome. And right now, it's very selective. Netflix proved that, names can get downside follow through, right? You look at Netflix here, Netflix had a nice pattern and then the trade changed. I talk about trades changing, and as an active trader, you have to trade fast and think fast. A lot of guys were like, hey, Red Dog, doesn't this look like a nice bull flag ready to fill this gap? And it did for a few sessions. And then that candle right there, if you were an active trader, that candle told you to get out of the way in Netflix. Get out of the way. And then it broke below 434, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now what? Okay, this is the low. The speed of it going down is not as fast. But I'm just saying that gave some clues that hey, the bears have some power here. And then you saw a few little things shake up in other names. Like Microsoft is, just broke this ascending channel, so that's kind of on the side there. Meta's been choppy. Apple's been in the corrective phase, had its first update yesterday, but still kind of broke. When you look at Apple here, take a bigger look here. So here's, by the way, it's one of my favorite songs. Ready? Hesitate. By the way, I listened to Tony Robbins today. And this morning I was in my sauna and I wanted to put on something different than Motiversity and this and that. And I thought it was pretty cool. It's a new one. I'll post it later. Just talking about the state of mind. Okay, so for a trader, you got to be in the right state of mind to make the right choices to act fast. So you think about like what could put you in the right state of mind in the morning. Okay, music, having your iced coffee, exercising, getting in a good state of mind so when the market opens, you're making fast decisions. I know yesterday I have an open house in the Alpha team, a lot of new guys, which is great, but my bottom computer didn't work, my swing account wasn't coming on, and it was like 9:25, and I'm like, okay, I got to start trading, I got to cover this, I got to buy that, and it was a little discombobulated, so I didn't take advantage of the first half an hour the way I could have. I made money, but I'm just saying I wasn't in the right state of mind because I wasn't situated the way I like to be situated, ready to go when the market opens. So you have to figure out what that state of mind is for you in the morning. If you're agitated and pissed, the dog friggin' ate the pillows, you got into a fight with your significant other, your kids are, making noise and you didn't sleep well, you really think you're going to trade well? No. So you have to be able to get yourself in a situation where you're focused and you're thinking about all the different scenarios that could happen so you could react fast. So anyway, yesterday, Apple took off a bit. It got above this 176.50, went to 179.38. It's still below this gap. Apple right now is up 50 cents. There is like a little, 178.54. So just another candle, candle within candles. I'm trying to rebuild to figure out, there is some news out there that Huawei, if I said it right, Huawei, out of China, got a great chip that might give it a little bit more popularity. But anyway, it's not really affecting Apple today. So see what goes on with Apple. Apple held this active support. As long as this 172 by 173 holds, bears can't get too loud in Apple. But talk about like thinking fast, like Tesla, for instance. Like I've been long Tesla for a bunch of time, and then yesterday I was like, all right, you know what? If Tesla breaks 271, it could see the 8-day, and do I want to be in that for a move for $5 lower? And thank goodness, because I was in a pre-market, and I'm like, you know what? Things feel a little odd. I'm just going to get out of the way, which I did. And then Tesla wound up, not a big move, or not a big deal, but Tesla broke 271 and then hit a low of 263.79, and it happened really fast. So basically, if you're in the right frame of mind and you know what the levels are, and you get out of the way and you save yourself some money. Some guys might have even got short there. I didn't. I just kind of got out of the way and then wanted to test this spot. So now Tesla, which looked like it was ready to take that out and fill the gap, changed a little bit. But what did it do? It held the 8-day and it's still above this gap. And now Tesla's up $1.50 this morning. So we'll see how it goes. See what kind of bounce it has. I would think that 271 would get rejected if it got there, and I don't even know if it gets there. But anyway, Tesla needs some time to, just rebuild. What kind of trade is it? So a lot of people like Red Dog, could you go over that ARM trade one more time? Because Instacart's coming out today, and ARM made me really good money last week. Why? Because it followed the art of the first day. Let's go back to ARM for a second. So ARM, if you go to it's easier to see on the 15-minute just to show you. So this is, let me just break it down real fast because it's 6:42. So boom, when ARM came out, okay, it opened at like 56.10 and put a high in at 57 and put a low in right here at 55.45. So what I did is when it cleared, when it got back above 56, I nibbled on it, nibble, and then I bought a little bit more when it cleared that 57.58 and had a nice trade up to 62. It happened in like 10 minutes. It was awesome. Okay, and then all of a sudden it's 62-ish, and then I'm like, I had to leave midday. It consolidated all day, and then I remember coming back around 3:30. I started buying it when it ignited above 61, added through 62 because that was the only point of reference that the world had, is 62 is the prior high, and then was able to sell it up to 66-ish. That was a great second trade. Then I took some overnight, came in, it was up 5 in the morning. By the time I got in, it was only up 4, and I sold it. Got flat. I'm like, that was a great, three different trades within that. And then I'm like, guys, it's got to hold 66 if it's going to be good to go into the 70s, and it didn't. Tried to bounce off that 62. That's a point of reference. Came up, made a lower high, broke right there, broke 62, and then remember, I'm like, guys, this is going to hold 58, a gap below it. And then yesterday, it kind of, I feel like they held it in a little bit. They didn't want it to break 55.50 because, Instacart's coming out and they needed to price it, and, there are already no workings in the market. So anyway, came back up. I would not be in a rush to be buying ARM. It's down $1.60 actually. Isn't that cute? Isn't it so cute how, they keep it in the private market for a decade. By the time it comes public, their growth is already decelerating and it's got 100-time PE. What the hell's the matter with this investment banking system? Anyway, so I'd watch this anyway. It breaks 55. At some point this week or next week, we're going to be talking about how will it break 51, which is the IPO price. But anyway, so for today with CART, okay, it thinks it's priced at 30, right? So just say it opens at 34 and then comes into 33 and goes back and looks like it's going to take out 34, the opening price. Or actually, no, just say it opens at 34, hits 34, hits 35, comes into 34, comes back to 33. There's nothing to do. Gets back above 34. Maybe you buy it at 34 versus 33. And then if it takes out that opening, that high of 35, maybe you get a trade to 37, 38. But if it opens up, just say at 35, 34, I guess, and goes to 35 and comes back to 34, can't hold it, goes to 33. It's holding, then goes to 32, then goes to 31 and a half. The supply is a lot higher than the demand, and there's no real money to be made actively trading like we did with ARM. That's the art of the first day. I've been trading. I've been doing that for like 20 years. It helped with, Facebook before it was Meta. LinkedIn was like the best IPO ever, if you remember that one, if you're as old as I am. But anyway, so we'll see how that goes. And then tomorrow's the Fed. Once again, just in conclusion, you have the spies that could give you an inside day today or not. Maybe it pushes a little bit. What's an inside day? An inside day is a day within another day, right? Right there. So this is 445-ish. If we were to get above this, here is the moving averages curling down, which I would definitely think would not get above today, in my humble opinion. If you're looking at the Qs, same thing. Qs, I would think, an inside day. Does it get above 371.79? Maybe. If it does, you have a lot of resistance coming in right there. That's probably a better short than a long today. The Fed is tomorrow. Real quickly, some people like, what do you think of Nvidia now? I'm like, well, it was a great trade. On Nvidia on Friday, a lot of guys were getting short because it broke the 50-day. It led the tech market lower on Friday. It was down $9, $10. You could have made money in a great overnight. And then there was also an active trade, right? That's pretty good. That's what you call continuity, right? Broke the 50-day, broke this, gave you a way to cover in the hole, and then went green. Now what? It's not as interesting today, to be honest. It's probably up a little bit. It's up 77 cents, 440.43. So it's got room to 443, which is yesterday's high-ish. If it gets above there, there's a whole bunch of resistance right around here. So I would think this 451 would be a spot to sell, but I don't even think it gets there today. But anyway, the semis are worth watching. So at this point, this open, if you come in flattish, I come in pretty flattish. There's not a whole hell of a lot to do. Does things open up green and go red? Do things open up green and grind into yesterday's high? Do we have an inside day? What happens when CART comes out? So, a bunch of little things that we'll try and put together to net some money. And then tomorrow will be the day where, volatility gets lifted and things kind of get a little nutty perhaps. Oh, lastly, a lot of guys like, Red Dog, what do you find, what do you think of gold? Well, I'm not a gold bug. But, the GLD, which was trading really well earlier in the year, broke the 8-day and it's been in consolidation phase, and you have this downtrend line here. It does look like maybe, it's time for this to take this out. But again, here's a bigger picture. Yeah, if you don't want to really be sidetracked by gold, what you could do is go out, take a call spread, right? If you think gold's going to go to 2,000 plus, like some of the gold bugs, right now it's September 19th. Go to mid-October, okay, and put on a big call spread. It won't cost you that much, and then you won't have to overtrade it. So what you might want to do is maybe do like, what's this? This is 181. So maybe do like a 181 by 185. And if gold has a big move in the next month, which is what you're playing it for, you get paid. Some people would say, hey, Red Dog, I think it's going to do a lotto spread, which costs them nothing. Maybe then you're buying the 181s or the 185s by 190s. But if you're going to do that, I think you'd have to really, don't go out a month. Go out like 2 months because it's going to take time. Anyway, that's I haven't gone over gold in a while, but it's tight. There's a downtrend line here, and plus the GDX is also acting a little bit better. So maybe there's a move in gold coming. So anyway, 649. If you're going to be with the Alpha team, which for the week it's an open house, why not? I go over my process, how I put together 40 charts, how I get my note, the morning call, and get situated for the day. I've been doing this for a long time. Your process and your routine is important. More important sometimes than the X's and O's, because if you're not in the right state of mind, you're never going to execute on the X's and O's. Okay, and when it all comes together, it's beautiful. It doesn't all come together all the times, but if one thing's not working, the other thing's not going to work. It's like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? And if you end up being a little dog that chases your tail like this, you're going to be chasing yourself for a while. So get yourself in a situation where at least, if you're in the right state of mind, you can perform. And performing is is, it's just as important as the right frame of mind. So get it all together so this way, you're ready to go and can make a living at this. All right, guys, I appreciate you. I'm going to post some charts and go hang out with the Alpha team. And, again, don't take, today's data, just, take it a little slow, inside action, and maybe we'll have a little bit of opportunity like we did with ARM, with CART. But sometimes you get the great, day and a half trade like you had in ARM, and people are expecting it's going to happen with the next one, and it doesn't. Okay, so we'll see how it goes with multiple plans. Later, guys.